Welcome back to Parking Lot Takes. That's Brandon, I'm Christian, and Novocaine might be over. Daredevil episode 5 might be over, and Daredevil episode 6 might be over, but the conversation's just starting.
Yes, it did.
Woo-woo!
We got a lot to talk about.
We have a lot to talk about.
I'm excited.
Yeah. Let's start with pits and peaks.
Yeah, I think that's
I want to hear a peak for your week, or recently in life, and then something, maybe a low point.
A peak. A peak for me, honestly. You don't know what my peak is?
Yeah.
You being so lit for Court of Owls, Batman Court of Owls. That has made me so genuinely happy.
So good.
Oh my gosh. And it's caused me, so I've been rereading it. Is I got this little compact version that they started releasing, like, I think, like, some of the best comics. In this compact version, it's like paperback. It's like a little bit smaller. It's easy just to flip through. It's not like a large comic book. Yeah. And so I bought that at like Books A Million the other day just to kind of reread through it. And it's so easy and it's so good. Gosh, it's the first 2 volumes from the new 52 run. Gosh, I remember it being so good. Yeah, the 2 you read. It's so good. But genuinely, us talking about it on the podcast, I was so happy that my recommendation as like my favorite comic book line, you loved it so much. That's absolutely my peak for the week.
Sweet.
Give me your peak.
I'm gonna give 2.
2? Okay.
Yeah. 1, comics are freaking awesome.
Yes.
Because
you've been reading a lot.
Yeah, I've gone through so much. I've gone through Daredevil. Well, it's not gonna sound like I've gone through a lot, but I've gone through Batman, read Superman All-Star. Yeah. I've read
interesting.
Punisher. I've read the big Punisher run, and then I read Daredevil Back in Black, which is awesome. And I was really I only read it because I love the suit, and kind of everyone's consensus was that one's not worth reading. Start with the run after that one. But I disagree because Muse was in it, and that was cool. That was a cool surprise for me. I had no idea.
Well, and it's really relevant too,
right? So I was pretty cool to just kind of stumble into the comic that introduces Muse. Spider-Man was in it. Really fun.
Tell me a little bit about what you thought about Superman
All-Star. I like it.
Yeah.
It makes me a little upset with Man of Steel.
So that's why I wanted to ask you that, because man, the comics, I mean, there's multiple runs. I mean, there's a more gritty Superman out there, definitely. But Superman All-Star is a lot lighter in tone. Absolutely. And so I've read a little bit of it. I don't think I've read all of it, but I just wanted to see what you thought, because now you're getting some comic book exposure to a lighter Superman. I mean, obviously we get it in like some of the animated stuff, but there's definitely some difference in tone than like a Man of Steel.
None of that really. The tone, it made me not like Man of Steel because I have in my head canon that Superman, like Clark, is stronger than the other Kryptonians because he's lived on Earth for so long and absorbed the sun for so long.
That is headcanon,
And I would love that to have been a plot point in Man of Steel for why he could have fought them. Yeah. And this idea to do like a supercharged Zod that ultimately lost because of overexposure to the sun. Yeah. Kind of like what they do in All-Star. Yeah. I think could have been cool. Yeah. But that being said, the comics are sick. That's my one peak.
Yeah, it's honestly, I've read a lot of comics, but you bringing it up has caused me to read more than I have. I've kind of just like read it occasionally, every once in a while, but it's starting to get me back into like wanting to read more, and it's really fun.
Yeah, I got a subscription.
How much I love it. Did you? I got the DC one.
Should I do that? I did the Comics Unlimited. It was a 30-day free trial.
That's not a bad one. Yeah.
I mean, there's so much, but I am I was like, there's so much, but I'm already hitting looking for things and they're not available. Yeah. So I am thinking about like maybe I should just do a month DC run.
You can do like a 7-day free trial and kind of just feel it out. Some of it's limited to get like the paid, but it's so far I've been just like flipping through and just like reading some issues for stuff that I've been interested in, and it's working out pretty good so far.
Did you give a pit yet? Did I miss that?
No, not yet.
No, okay.
No. I give a peek. You give a peek.
Yeah, give a pit because my pit leads into my peak.
Oh, sweet.
My
okay.
second peak that I want to talk about. But you brought up like comics, so I want to say
Yeah. So my pit of the week is, man, and this is probably a hot take, but so do you know what Solo Leveling is? The anime?
Yeah, the anime.
You've probably heard of it.
Yeah.
Have you watched any of it?
No.
So it's coming out right now.
Yep.
Season 2.
I know that.
And looks gorgeous, visually very, very, very stimulating. I'm kind of struggling with it. I've been trying to get into it. So I was talking to our friend Ben the other night, and he was saying that's just really good. He's like really into it. He's watching the dub version or the sub version because he doesn't want to wait for the dub to come out. Yeah, he needs the episode. And I was like, all right, like I had watched a couple episodes, and then this week I was trying to get back into it, and yes, like I like it, but for some reason I'm just struggling to like get through it. Like.
Interesting.
It's not that I don't like it. I'm just not like so engaged that I'm like, oh gosh, I've got to watch the next episode. Like I finished an episode and I'm like, that was cool, but I'm not like itching for the next one, kind of like what Ben was saying. And so I kind of feel like disappointed. I feel like I'm supposed to love this because it seems like something that's like right up my alley. And so, like, I watched, like, one episode, and I was kind of like, I don't know if I watched the next. And then I watched the next episode, and I kind of finished it. And I was just kind of, like, disappointed. And I kind of felt bad because I was like, this should be something I should, like, love.
Right.
And I was like, am I missing something here? And so, it's just something I've been kind of disappointed in. I don't know why. Because I should like it.
Yeah.
But that's kind of bummed me out this week. Because I really want to like it. Because it looks gorgeous, and everybody else loves it, too. But I'm just not digging it yet. We'll see. I'm going to keep watching it. I might have a different outlook. Maybe it hits like a stride at some point that I just haven't gotten to yet. Or we like have a villain pop up because I know there's some cool stuff that comes up. But yeah, that kind of bummed me out last couple nights. I've been trying to do it. Just can't get through.
It's your Andor.
I don't know about that.
All right.
Maybe.
Yeah, maybe. Okay.
Give me your pit.
Yeah, my pit, dude, I was so bummed this weekend because, you know, just kind of being hit with trying to do this and wanting this, what we're doing to be successful. Absolutely. And basically prove its worth to the amount of time we spend on it.
Yes, yeah.
And it was cool. We did very well on TikTok the past couple weeks.
Yeah.
We've had some serious success. I'd say success. TikTok, Instagram. We haven't really seen it in YouTube yet.
Yeah.
I'd like to. So I was like down bad, really like soul searching on what we could do better. Like clearly we need to be doing stuff better. And man, I was just kind of demotivated, really discouraged because I was posting things that I was just like, dude, this is gonna do well, and they do nothing. Mm-hmm. And I'm just like, man, I don't know what's going on.
I know where this is going.
You do know where this is going, and we won't name drop, but we got a DM.
Yes, we did.
We got a DM, man,
from somebody we really wanted to get a DM from.
We would like to get a DM from.
So cool.
And they are sending us a little package,
some stuff, yeah.
And we're excited. And it was super motivating. It was super validating. Pretty cool.
Yeah.
Super fun.
It's just recognition.
Yeah.
That it was recognition that people see the quality of what we're doing.
Yeah. And
are looking at the page, whether it's on Instagram or TikTok or whatever, and just see that, hey, there's some value here.
Yeah.
And I think that's super validating.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Super cool. And yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited to receive a little package from them.
Yeah. We'll open it on the pod.
Yeah, we'll open it on the pod. We'll talk about it a little bit more. But yeah,
I'm excited about it.
That was a pretty sweet peak.
That was a nice high to ride for sure.
Absolutely.
Also, we as a filming have a Discord. So
yes,
we want to plug that.
Absolutely.
Because we are in there with Caden.
Yep.
My brother.
Your brother,
who we do stuff with. Mm-hmm. And so we're all in there. By ourselves.
Currently.
But
feel free to join.
One of the things I really wanted to do, I talked about it a couple episodes ago.
Yeah.
Was build a community.
Yeah.
I'm watching, just trying to like think about what we could be doing. How can we foster that community and some people we really respect in the space. We're like, you need a Discord.
Discord, yeah.
And that's how we get an engaging audience.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, sweet. So
cool.
we set up a Discord today, and it's linked on Instagram and on YouTube. I don't think you can link it on TikTok.
Maybe not.
I looked into it.
We might need to just like put it up on the story so that who's following us can like at least click on the link or something like that. We might just need to do it that way.
Yeah.
I'm excited about it though, because like I don't have a lot of like community experience with Discord. Like I've used it for like gaming and things like that. But there have been a couple like clothing brands that actually have Discords.
That's cool.
And I thought that was really cool. And there was a couple that I followed specifically because if you follow the Discord, you'd get like samples before like releases would drop like to the public. And they would be like, hey, this is kind of what we're looking at. We're teasing this. Like I followed a brand where they did like anime clothing, and they would like drop on the Discord, hey, this is our theme. And so it kind of like built some hype around it.
Yeah.
And what I just remember is like seeing the chats where like people, it spawned conversation to talk about anime or talk about movies or like just pop culture stuff. And I was like, oh, that's really cool. So I think it would be really fun if we can have a community where the conversation goes beyond just like comment sections and things like that. I think that would be so sick. So I'm super pumped to kind of see how some of those conversations start and what we can do with it.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah, I think it's really cool. So
there's also there's a category on or a channel on there for questions for the pod. So if there's questions people want answered, to give us topics and stuff
Absolutely.
like that.
That'd be super fun. Yeah.
Yeah.
Discord, a new venture.
Yep.
We need to talk about some Novocaine.
Yeah. We both saw Novocaine.
But before we talk about Novocaine, I love the shirt, dude.
Dude, yeah.
A little Spider-Man action.
A little Spider-Man action.
Spider-Man. It looks like a classic, like Spider-Man animated series.
Oh yeah, it's so dope.
It is pretty dope.
I was on a hunt for some just fun things to wear for filming, and I came across this brand, and they happened. Like I was looking, and I from just looking on different areas, and like somewhere I saw Civil Regime, which is with this company, and so I went to their website, and they happened to have been doing a live Spider-Man new drop that day, just a few hours later. So I went up and I snagged
Do you do like a lot of like pop culture, like Marvel, DC stuff?
It seems like it. I haven't seen anything DC. I've seen a lot of Marvel. I bought some extra stuff that this is probably like more exclusive. Yeah. So I saw the shirt in black going for $140 on like another brand site.
Holy crap.
So I was like, I should not have opened that package. I should have bought two. But they have X-Men 97 series for sale at Paxson right now. So I picked up some of those.
That's super cool.
I don't know everything that it's entailed with, but hoping to... this is cool.
I think there's some cool brands out there. That's definitely something that I enjoy doing. Is like finding Instagram stuff. I think like I found a couple brands that lean towards like high fashion. Some of it's inspired by like pop culture. Some of it's inspired by like anime. But there's some really cool brands out there that like do high quality stuff. That's like when I was like looking for some brands like within like the past couple of years, I was looking for quality.
Yeah.
And some exclusivity, and I love the drop format. I think that's so cool. Like you're getting in on the drop, and then it's done, and then you feel like I've got this piece, and I think that's this is from a drop actually.
Oh, sick.
From a brand called Hashra Studios that I really like, and the quality is off the charts. And so I love when I can find a good brand like that.
Yeah, there's a ton of them on Instagram. Well, something we talked about was like we feel like there's a hole in the industry of like really cool. Nerdy clothing that's not from Hot Topic.
Absolutely. Most of it's just
if Hot Topic wants to sponsor the pod, we'll wear it.
Anything.
No.
Death metal band t-shirts.
Just kidding. Something that's not like screen printed
like on the front. Yeah. It's just like a comic book cover. It looks fine, but it just looks cheap. Something unique. Quality. Yeah.
Like I wore this to church and I turned
Turn some heads.
I turn freaking heads.
Yeah,
bro.
I think it is unique, and I think that's unique, and I like stuff like that because it's not just in the center, like it's going across, like they're doing stuff. Yeah, like it just. I like to find things where I feel like somebody designed this.
Yeah.
They didn't take a Gildan t-shirt and slap a cover from a movie on it.
Some care went into it.
Absolutely. So that's what I'm looking for is, did they design this? And like this specifically here, like I feel like they designed the hoodie. Like this is embroidered. Like there's some thought behind it. Simple, but it's repping a specific anime. Like I think that's very cool. Yeah. So I love it. I love the Spider-Man shirt.
Yeah.
We're going to have to start showcasing more of that kind of stuff. I'll have to start
I think we should
shirts,
definitely be repping some brands.
Yes, absolutely.
I've got some more independent small Instagram brand stuff coming in the mail.
That's cool.
So I'm excited for that. But yeah, let's get into Novocaine.
Novocaine, yeah.
Did you know that Did you know that Jack Quaid was Dennis Quaid's son?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I did. You didn't know before Novocaine?
No.
You didn't know from The Boys?
No.
What? That's crazy.
Can I blow your mind again?
Yes.
Did you know that Jack Nicholson's son is in Novocaine?
Yes. He's the villain.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, only reason I know that's Jack Nicholson's son, I think, is because he was in Smile. Do you remember him? I didn't see it either. But there's like a scene in the trailer of a guy like in a ballroom walking, and it was very like popular. And I remember there was buzz saying like, "Oh, this is his son." And so when I watched the movie, I was like, "Oh gosh, this is the first time I'm actually seeing him in a movie."
Wow, yeah,
that's crazy.
I didn't know any of that.
I can understand the Jack Nicholson, but the not Dennis Quaid's son. That's interesting.
He doesn't look anything like him.
To be fair, yeah, they look very different.
They look completely different.
And I don't know. I guess I don't know who his mom is. Is it a famous actress? I can't remember. I have no clue. I would have thought you would have known from The Boys, though.
No.
That's wild.
He's in Hunger Games, too.
He is, yeah. I didn't know that actually.
I had no idea.
I forgot about that. I saw like the clip of him, and I
didn't know at all. All right.
Novocaine.
Non-spoiler.
Yes.
And then
we'll give some general thoughts.
Yep.
Let's start with the score.
Yep.
Then we'll give our general thoughts, and then if we feel like we need to get into some spoilers, there's a couple things we could maybe talk about. We'll talk about that.
Yeah.
All right, let's give a score. You ready?
Yeah.
I'll count us down. I think I'm ready. All right. Our score for Novocaine. 3.
Say it to the camera.
Our score for Novocaine. 3, 2, 1. 7 out of 10.
10 out of 10.
Okay, 7.5.
Yeah.
All right. I would give it a solid 7.5.
Yeah.
7 out of 10.
Yeah. 7.5 out of 10.
So we're around the same there.
Yeah. All right.
This is a fun time.
Jack Quaid.
Yes.
Is a perfect cast.
Absolutely.
This is a movie made for him.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
Perfect cast.
It leans into maybe some of what he's getting typecast into.
Yeah.
But it's perfect for that role.
Yeah.
Now, I know he's done some other things, I think, recently that people have talked about that are a little bit more dramatic, but this is the perfect role for the unassuming working man.
Nice guy.
Nice guy thrust into this crazy scenario, and he embodies it. Yeah. And he does such a great job. He's so likable and so unassuming in the best way possible.
Yeah.
And I think they lean into the idea of the disability. I mean, you see it in the trailers, like he can't feel pain.
Right.
And they lean into that so well with him, and he plays it so well. You know what I mean? Like, I think his performance just as this very unassuming person, on top of like using the disability as kind of like the crux of the movie, it works so well.
Yeah.
It works so well.
I think they do a good, how do you say this? So something I noted was, I think they did a really good job. There's the obvious way to tell me he doesn't feel pain.
Obviously, yeah.
And then there's like the subtle things I put together just through the humor, but also to be, oh wait, that's right. Like this is a totally different situation for him than it would, someone else. How many? Let's say he gets it's not a spoiler. He gets shot at some point.
Yes.
How many movies have you seen where people have been shot and have to take care of the bullet?
Yes.
And like, it's something, it does such a, in my opinion, it's masterful in a sense. It does such a good job of feeling so similar and then just reminding you
yes.
that
it's very
he doesn't
different
feel
for him.
he does right, and it feels so close to everything you've seen before. You're like,
Absolutely.
Here we go, gunshot wound. We know this is painful.
Yes.
And when he takes the box cutter and
Yep.
pulls the bullet out, and you're like, wow, like,
He's just
dude,
sticking-
that feels that in my opinion,
Yeah.
it's a little bit less obvious than him putting his hand in a fryer, a little bit obvious than him getting punched in the face and being fine. Something like that's like, oh snap, that would be a super fire.
Yeah.
You know how like he feels 100% right now. Like, that's insane. He's been shot. He's put his hand in a fryer. He's been punched. He's been beaten. He's been in a car accident. And he feels 100%. What an advantage. That stuff, I think the movie just did so well. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, do you think they did... do you think they... You feel like they played the disability like well enough, like they didn't get too slapstick and jokey with it? Because that was something I thought he was just going to take hits for the sake of taking them, which I will say doesn't happen.
Yes.
For the most part. There's stuff in the house, but they're very, I feel like it's very thoughtful on how they use it.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I think specifically the stuff in the house does get a little slapsticky.
Yeah.
But I still honestly would give it points for some creativity there.
Right.
Because there's still, like, there's a moment, without spoiling it, where he doesn't realize something's happened, and then he does.
Yeah.
And you're thinking, like, oh, okay, like, again, playing into the disability, like, that's funny, but it's unique. Like, it's creative.
Well, sorry to interrupt you. What you get in that scene later on is so worth it. You know, even if you're like, oh, that's kind of like playing into the slapstick.
Yes.
It's beyond worth that
Yes.
sequence.
It's so funny.
Fantastic.
It's so great. Yeah.
It's very fun. Now, maybe we should get into spoilers.
You think so?
Do you have anything else to say? So give me a general why it's not a 10 out of 10.
I think, to be honest, I think the villains are pretty one note.
Fair.
I don't want to say bad, but just one note. They feel a little bit like the main villain, so Jack Nicholson's son, feels a little bit like he's playing a caricature. Like it's a little overdone sometimes. Yeah. And sometimes it just kind of takes me out, especially with the love interest. I can't remember the actress's name, but she plays a little more subdued. Sure. And then kind of in scenes where maybe they're together, it's just a little weird. He just feels a little overdone. Now, I give it some points towards the end. I think there's some things that work, but that would kind of bring it down for me. I think some of the choices that they take, without getting into spoilers, feel a little cliche in kind of a way. And I kind of thought once a specific thing happened, I thought, nah. Yeah, I kind of expected that to happen.
Yeah.
And so I wish they would have maybe done something a little bit more creative. There's another part of the movie, like there's a couple characters. I guess this isn't a spoiler because it's in the trailers, but there's police officers in the film that are kind of tracking what's happening throughout the movie. And I felt like some things with them just did not make sense at all.
Yeah. I know what you're talking
some glaring choices that I was like, this would not happen.
Yeah.
This is a wild choice for a police officer to make.
For sure.
And it was enough to take it out of the movie for me. So that's why I would say it kind of brings it down. I think I give it a 7 out of 10 because I had a really fun time.
Absolutely.
I was laughing. I think the action was fun. I loved Jack Quaid. I think he was he carried this movie.
Yeah.
100%. And so I think it's definitely worth seeing. I think it's a fun time. But it's definitely not the best action movie I've seen. And some of the choices I just didn't like particularly.
You want to do spoilers?
Yeah, let's talk some spoilers because I do want to talk about a couple things. Give me something.
One question for you.
Yeah.
Or no, here, you want me to give a take on spoilers then, since you just did one?
Yeah, do that. Yeah, because I want to see.
How do you not freaking secure that guy
What do you
after
mean?
you shot him?
Oh yeah.
How do you not?
Yeah.
That to me is what brought it down. I'm
Yeah.
like, this is a 9 out of 10 fun B grade action movie, and I'm like, that's awful.
Yes.
That's a glaring writing decision.
It's a big Mm-hmm.
How do you not secure that guy? Mm-hmm. And you know what? I'm not a police officer, but guess what? I've seen hundreds of other movies where that's the first thing that they did.
Absolutely.
And it wasn't a kill shot.
No. Come on. I mean, I know.
And I wasn't. Sorry to interrupt you.
No, you're fine.
I wasn't shocked, but it's one of those things where. No, I was shocked, and here's why. I wasn't shocked that like the movie was kept going. I did feel like we were coming to an abrupt end.
Yes.
So I felt like there was more.
Yes.
I was just blown away. I was shocked because they didn't clear him. Like that was my shock. Was like y'all didn't take his gun away.
Like something.
You shot him in the side.
Yeah.
And you didn't take his gun.
Run over there, cuff him. You turn him over and cuff the man.
Yeah.
That's one of the choices that I thought. Police
terrible.
officers, not a good writing choice.
Terrible.
No. Another police officer thing, moment was initially when she calls him for the first time.
Yeah, I know. Never mind.
I'm like, are you kidding me?
This guy's convincing you.
He's this random person that you're talking to for the first time, that you have no idea his association with these bank robbers, essentially. And you're just going to go, oh, he brought up my daughter. Yep, have it your way, son. I was like, what police officer would do that?
Yeah.
That stuff, how light they were on him, didn't feel. After that moment,
They follow
though.
him to the house.
Yes. No, they do. But I'm saying, like, be very strict, like a police officer would.
Yeah.
But they open it with that phone call of her being like, you know what? Have it your way, man. I guess it's fine. Like, I mean, I know that she wasn't necessarily giving him the right to, like, do what he's doing, but it just felt so soft.
I know what you're talking about. I agree
throughout
with you.
the movie,
I
she's
felt
very
that way.
empathetic about him.
It's convenient.
It's so convenient. And that's one of the things that brought it down for me. And there's multiple moments where I was like, I don't think an officer would do that. Like, that just doesn't feel realistic. Like, it's too much for me to suspend disbelief.
Yeah. Another thing.
Yeah.
I think his sentence is a little light. Because he absolutely assaulted and permanently injured that tattoo guy.
Yeah.
And
that's true.
I don't care.
Because he got, 6 months house arrest?
I don't care if he picked up the knife first or not. Jack Quaid instigated it with the gun.
Yeah.
And we're talking in a court of law.
Yes.
But I'm also going to say what he does to that guy is awful.
Awful. Yeah, that's not like
that's not, I think that was like kind of like, you know, that's a little bit beyond defending yourself.
Yeah.
Because
when he punches into the glass, like,
well, that's a sick scene.
Oh,
and
it's
that's
so sick. Oh, it's so sick. But that's above and beyond just basic assault. Like, you know what I mean?
But like, I don't think Batman or Daredevil would ever blind somebody to get a name out of somebody.
Yeah, that's brutal.
I don't think that would ever happen.
No.
And so that was something I thought about and was like, that's a kind of I mean, all you needed was a guy's last name, and now that guy is blind.
Yeah. I guess maybe, and this is me adding in context, maybe they're thinking like he's associated with them and like it doesn't matter.
He
like,
tattooed the guy.
Yes, yeah.
And they try, and you know what? They're like with the swastika on his neck. I'm like,
that's how they justify it.
Still, that guy had not deserved to have been blind.
Yeah.
The next words that came out of that big guy's mouth could have been, with the knife, leave. You know, you don't know. Because he picked up a gun and pointed it at him, and he was like, it instigated it up to here. Yeah. He was also the first one, like, he stabbed him in the side. Yeah. Like, there's a lot of things that happened that were just kind of beyond what I thought was... You know, I'm like, he's defending himself.
Yeah.
This is necessary.
Oh, his charges are racked up.
Well, yeah. He's like, this is necessary. But everything's like, this is necessary. That guy was going to kill him. That guy was going to kill him.
I think even in a real world scenario, like, he took a police officer's vehicle.
Yeah.
Took their weapon.
It's rough.
He has killed people. I know it's, I guess, manslaughter. You could claim self-defense, things like that. I don't think it's self-defense, though. He definitely tracked him down and hunted him down.
That's also true.
So that's clear manslaughter with intention.
Yeah.
And, he's killed multiple people. Assault with a deadly weapon. I mean, I'm like 6 months under house arrest and then I guess 5 years probation is a lot, but like not like a real sentence. I mean, this man should at least have 2-3 years in prison.
She said, you're white and work at a bank, so the judge went easy. I didn't realize that guy was mentally handicapped.
Yeah. So, yeah, I do think that's pretty
Maybe
light.
they didn't find the biker, which is possible, but I'm just saying that kind of took a loan out on his bank of being a good person.
Being a good person,
because that was a little bit over the top.
Yeah.
I just want to say, he did all that to that. He blinded him. He beat him. He tattooed his neck.
Yeah. Oof, that's right.
Cut him all up, and he blinded him. I might have already said that. For a last name.
Yeah.
It's a little intense. It's
After he stole the cop car and took the weapon, I looked at Audrey and I was like, I don't know how he gets out of this one without prison time. And then he killed people.
I would maybe argue the worst thing Batman's done is thrown someone off a roof and broken their legs.
Yeah. I don't know. Batfleck's killed some people.
Well, we're just talking about Batman.
I know. I'm just saying. Yeah, I don't think
that guy's
it's
permanently
intense.
That guy's permanently
he's disabled.
Now. Yeah.
He's claiming Social Security disability now.
Yes.
Yeah, that's brutal for 6 months and some probation.
But it was cool to punch the glass.
It was so sick to punch the glass.
All right. Let me ask you this.
Yes.
The twist.
Yeah.
In this movie. Mm-hmm. Do you think it would have been better to have found that out with Jack Quaid? Or did you like that they revealed it earlier?
I think it would have been better later on in the film with Jack Quaid. When they revealed it with the brother, I mean, I won't lie. I definitely was like, oh, okay. And more so because of how they did. I thought here's what I'll give credit to that scene. I thought the dialogue right there was kind of unique. And I think it kind of worked.
Yeah.
I was like, that's such a great way to do that. Once it settled, I kind of felt like, gosh, of course she's in on it. And that's where it started to feel a little cliche. I would have preferred if it wasn't that scene and towards the end when Jack Quaid walks in,
right,
is in that moment, he finds them kicking it back or, something. And it's this huge realization in the third act of, oh, shoot, she's in on it.
Yeah.
He spent all this time. Now, you do feel bad, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you feel bad that he's going through all this knowing it already.
That is true.
So, like Audrey, like a couple times was like, oh, gosh, he's doing this for no reason. Like, I could hear her whispering, and I was like, that's a good point. Like, you're watching him through this, like, gosh, don't do it, man. It's not worth it. You're going through all this crap for nothing now. But they still pull the punch when she's like, oh, but no, I do still care about you. So it feels like they give you the twist, but they still pull the punch.
Yeah.
So I just didn't really feel that the twist was that impactful. I almost wish they would have just stuck with it. And at the end, had maybe like a moment, between the two of like, maybe she cares, but then she goes off on her own way and he like lets her go. And maybe, that's me writing into it. But something just a little bit more interesting than they give you the twist, but then they pull the punch.
Yeah, I thought the same thing. I personally liked the way they revealed it.
Yeah. I
really liked it. I was shocked.
I was.
Because the dialogue up until that point is very good. And it's very good at keeping it,
And also, she's doing a great job. Yeah. I mean, props to her.
That's the girl from Prey.
It is, yes. And she does a fantastic job as far as like selling that throughout up to that point to where I definitely believe that there was something there. Like I didn't know until that moment. It's just once it settled, I was like, nah.
I did not think it was bad until bad's the wrong word. I didn't think let's put it like this. Until Jack Quaid found out, until the final sequence when Jack Nicholson, or not Jack Nicholson, but the villain reveals that to Jack Quaid, I thought it would have been better to find it out then.
At that point.
It
could have been a really cool moment between all three of them.
And not that I think it was wrong to do it. I just think the way they did the first mock ending, I thought if this was going to be your mock ending, we should have found out with him.
Yeah.
And I don't really have a suggestion on how to do it differently other than kind of lean into keeping her being bad or maybe keeping her...
Yeah, because with this like empathetic storyline of like, she kind of feels bad, like I can't keep doing this, and you know, because he gives a line like, "We've killed people before," and she's like, "Yeah, but you've done that, I haven't." Like, if they didn't go for the like that kind of character choice, maybe it could work a little bit later. But if they want her to still care about Jack Quaid and end up, you know, at the end together and like the love story. To be honest, this might be the only way they can really do it.
Yeah, I don't know. Also, I was so bothered by how little the brother Nicholson cared about
her.
No, about an entire bag of money going away. They never brought it up.
Yes, that's true. Yeah,
and I thought that was a miss.
Yeah. Yeah, they're right. They don't.
It doesn't. Not admit like a miss to cause strife between the crew.
Yes.
You know, like we're worried about that bag of money. This guy's worried about it's his brother.
Yeah.
And I thought, so I'm watching the movie and I'm like, oh, interesting. So he's gonna have the money. That's gonna be his bargaining chip.
Yes.
So then this is how I would do it. Is like, oh, Jack's got the money. I'm gonna trade. Also, he gave that money to that store clerk. I thought that was morally gray as well.
Yes. You should launder that.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
But
he's a good Samaritan. What are you talking about?
I thought that was like, oh my gosh, he's got all the money.
Yeah.
They're going to be freaking out. And then they were so chill.
Yeah.
And they don't tell you, but that was just that guy's, in what was in that guy's bag. Which makes sense, but I mean, had to have been at least a $1 in that bag that they just lost.
That was a stack when they walked in the bank.
You would think they would care.
Yeah,
At least not maybe the brother, but he would care.
How did you feel about like how quickly the brother turned on the sister?
Yeah,
I think
it's just.
I know that they're like adopted or like orphaned together or something like that.
To your point, it's just to your point of he feels like he's playing a character and he's just kind of bad for bad sake.
Just bad for
he's evil.
Like when he turned very quickly on her, and I thought like, it just feels like being willing to kill her. Like he's shooting at her. I'm like, what? Like even if it was like. Just like a half sister or someone that you don't have like a strong relationship with, or like just your foster sister. Like, would you really shoot them? Like, are you willing to kill them? Like, just let them go.
I think.
So it does feel like he's bad.
He hit her. I mean, there's
that I can see for just being a bad character, but I'm like going as far as to mean like, all right, you know what? Screw this. I'm just gonna shoot you.
See,
I was like, that feels like a bit much.
I think
because they grew up together. Like she says, like
but they were abused. This is abusive household. Obviously, he's not stable. Obviously, like he probably has issues with commitment and like
issues.
No, but like people abandoning him and betraying him.
So he's willing
going into that.
Yeah.
Not to psychoanalyze. I do think it is a miss on the writing, but I thought it was quick, but it's just the movie, man. You know, there's a lot in there. There's a lot to like.
It's a fun time in the theater.
We need to move on, but the torture scene is the best scene.
Oh, it's so great.
It's hilarious. It's so incredible. And the fact that he has like extensive medical knowledge because of the condition.
Oh, it's so great.
Such a great detail.
And it's just a little thing that they add in, like, why do you have a medical book at your home? Like, well, but this, first aid.
Yeah.
It just leans into the actual medical condition that people can have. Like, I'm like, oh, that's very cool. I do think the disability is used very well in that regard.
And they do it with the hot sauce little shot trick. Yeah. That's really funny. And
one thing I wanted to say was I think they use it so subtly is when they have lunch for the first time. They spent, like, you wait a little while before he says it. Like, she's like, I'm getting food, he's getting milkshake. And for a split second, you're like, why? Like, why?
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Why would you not get food? Like,
yeah.
And like they give you a little bit of time before they explain it, and it's just like a subtle moment that I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. Like he's kind of insecure about it, so he doesn't want to say. He's like, no, it's fine. I'm just a milkshake. I'm good. And then she's like, no, try it. And then he's like, here's why. And I was like, oh, that's just an interesting way to like use the disability, also use his insecurity as a character. And I just think, oh, that's clever writing. So
yeah,
I thought it was just another cool moment. But
for sure.
But yeah, it's definitely a fun time in the theater. I would definitely say go see it. Yeah. Go see it on the big screen if you can. You're just going to have fun. It's so fun.
Because of that scene, every time he takes a bite of food, you hold your breath.
Yes. Oh, yes.
The final shot.
Yes.
I'm like, dude, it's coming off.
I thought, I thought too, yeah. I was like, he's going to end on this note where he's going to be like...
yeah. Or I thought he was going to like smile and just... That's what I thought was going to happen.
Yes, yeah.
Oh, man. No, it's fun. It's good.
Fun,
it's really my favorite movie I've seen this year.
Oh, my gosh, yeah.
We haven't seen a lot.
I mean, it is right now until we see Minecraft next weekend.
Dethroned. But
by
as
Minecraft,
of right now, it's definitely better than Cap, and it's definitely better than Mickey 7. Definitely better than Mickey 17, but I think it's better. I think it does a better job setting an expectation.
That's a tough one. I'd have to think through if I think Mickey 17 is better.
You rated it. Well,
I rated about the same. Yeah, that's why I say it'd be kind of tough to think through because they are very different movies.
I think it's... I just like it more. I
think I enjoyed it more, but there's elements of Mickey 17 that I would say I liked better as far as like a writing standpoint, creative standpoint. But there's also some things that are very low in Mickey 17. Yeah. So that's interesting.
Well, you also go general consensus. A lot of people were disappointed with Mickey 17.
True. And I think a lot of people will go see this and go, oh, this was fun. I like this.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's interesting. But I did rate it the same. Wow.
Yeah.
I'm going to think through that.
So if they didn't do the dumb not clear that guy, I would have 8 out of 10 that.
Yeah.
SOB.
I think if some of the police stuff was a little bit more believable, I probably wouldn't have brought it down so much. That was the stuff that really bugged me the most. I probably could have gotten away with the villain being a little bit of a bad for sake of bad for this type of movie.
Yeah.
There's just some stuff that I was like, this is...
Because I know also, all I could think was like, it's such a security risk to keep that much money in a bank. Oh my gosh, It's insane. Usually banks don't carry more than like $20K.
Yeah, no, not like that. No.
So having that much there is a huge security risk. But that's nitpicking. Anyway, so
Novocaine, we liked it.
Yeah.
Go check it out.
Speaking of nitpicking.
All right, this is our review of Daredevil Born Again episodes 5 and 6. We're going to talk spoilers. We're going to go right into spoilers. I don't know how we don't do that with these episodes, but we're going to give our thoughts, rating, talk about it, get into all the nice details.
Yes. We are wearing different clothes.
We are, yes.
There's a pretty distinct jump cut probably in this video.
Absolutely.
We are in the future from the people.
The future, yeah.
Future selves.
Yes. If you had to say one thing looking back, what would you say, Christian?
Yeah. You're going to be shocked by how people receive these episodes.
Absolutely.
So we are filming this partially because of technical difficulties with recording.
Audio was a little
missing
off.
Audio.
Yeah.
Our SD card corrupted. Yeah. Salvaged what we could. Yeah. Decided to reshoot all of this. Also partially because we were totally taken back by how people received these 2 episodes.
I was shocked.
Yes.
Absolutely shocked.
Yes. So we'll get into that as we talk. Yeah. But ultimately, we wanted to make our cases a little bit more concise.
Yeah.
And a little bit so they would be received a little bit better because we're going to be in the minority.
Absolutely. I wanted it to be more understandable potentially for you can see kind of why we're thinking what we're thinking.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because we are in the minority. But.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we're going to get into spoilers. If you haven't watched the episode, go watch it, come back, join the conversation.
Also, peep the...
Let's go.
Peep the Daredevil.
Yeah.
This is a milestone because we did our first successful TikTok.
Yeah.
We're on Daredevil.
What, like
200,000.
200,000.
It's good for us.
It's just really cool.
Yeah, it's good for us.
Absolutely.
And so I ordered us these
in celebration.
In celebration.
Because we love Daredevil.
We do
specifically
love Daredevil.
The Netflix show.
Yeah.
You're getting into comics. It's just a beloved character.
Yeah.
So.
Also, something we luckily get to react about because we're refilming.
Yes.
Is the Back in Black.
The Back in Black suit, dude. It looks so so
sick.
good.
It's so sick.
It looks so good.
Dude, it's awesome. It looks so incredible. I love how you have red peeking through the black. Like it almost looks like he might like have spray painted it. But it looks so sick. The Daredevil, symbol.
He finally gets the double D.
It's all on there. It is absolutely peak.
Oh, it's so cool.
Looks so good. Yeah. Some of the action we're getting in season 2 already, just from behind the scenes, looks really good. It looks so good. I'm very excited about it.
Yeah, I was shocked at how good. Exciting.
I'm bummed that it's not a reveal. I'm bummed that it's spoiled.
There's literally no way I could have popped on social media and not seen it. Exactly. It was the first thing
everybody's talking about it.
But I'm so hyped about it.
But it's okay. I'm getting over it because it is
so good.
It looks awesome.
Like the thing I noticed is like on his helmet or cowl or whatever you want to call it, he's got like a gash. And to your point, it's like red's peeking through. Yeah. Like
in a lot of the suit, you can see red coming through. I love it.
It looks so good.
I can't wait to have the story reason for it. So.
Very cool. Okay, let's rate the episodes. So we'll talk episode 5, then 6. Let's talk episode 5.
Okay.
Let's give our ratings. I'll count us down. You ready?
Yep.
3.
Wait.
Okay.
Say that one more time.
Yes. Let's give our rating for episode 5, Daredevil Born Again.
Yes.
3, 2, 1, 4 out of 10.
6 out of 10.
Yeah.
So, I am up from how I previously rated it.
Yes, because you had it around 4 out of 10.
4 out of 10.
I had it at 3 out of 10.
Yes.
I've only slightly come up.
Right.
Tell me why you think you've come up.
I have come up because I still feel the same way I felt about the episode. Yeah. I was really excited to see it. Yes. We were super excited going into watching these 2 episodes. I was very pumped.
Absolutely.
And
especially with just how good episode 4 was.
Absolutely. And I felt like what we got in this episode could have been 15 minutes. Yeah. Like the 15 minutes before the title card is what episode 5 could have been. It was drawn out. I felt like I felt that in the episode.
Yeah.
There are weird story inconsistencies, I feel like unrealistic things characters do to progress the plot further. I really feel like you'd have to be a moron to not put together that Matt has superpowers at this point. He takes down 2 robbers and opens the bank vault, and his excuse is, I'm a very good lawyer. Cool. It's a cool line.
But he's blind.
But he is,
Yeah.
And there's no reason that Kamala's dad shouldn't be like, not all blind guys can do that. So, for those reasons, I was really low on it. I thought it was very conveniently written, and I still do feel this way.
Yeah.
Now, I was talking to a guy named Jordan on our Discord, and he brought up this excellent point that was, it feels like a single issue of a comic.
That is a really good
And it is a fantastic take. It's a great point, and it changed my mind on a lot of things. I was able to accept the episode a lot better. The more I thought about it, I was like, yes, these things are better. Now, this episode is hurt by where it is placed in the season. I believe this wholeheartedly. The episode 5 should have been probably episode 3 or 4.
Then we get 4.
Right.
Yes.
It could have gone after the White Tiger stuff as a filler episode. Mm-hmm. I'm not affected at all by it being a filler episode. Yeah. I want to say this. I do not want that put on me at all because honestly don't care. It was purely the writing stuff, and I just felt like these were the dumbest bank robbers in the world. Yeah. This is all super, super convenient.
Yeah.
I really it just makes, there's a lot of things that I think are just so conveniently written in the episode. Yeah. But to that point, it does feel like a single issue of a comic. Yeah. Matt is fantastic.
Matt's the best part of it. Absolutely.
Absolutely. Selling me on this episode. I don't think it is as great as people say it is. Yeah. I do think it's better than what I initially rated it. And the more I think about it, the more I do like it. This is what I will say about this episode. I could 8 out of 10 this episode probably if it was a Daredevil special like Werewolf by Midnight.
Yeah. That's interesting.
If it was a single 1 hour Daredevil special, I could potentially see giving it more.
I would palette it a lot easier.
Yes.
I'd be like, oh, this is a little funny. Get some good action.
Exactly.
That's all I need.
Right. Totally agree. I think it feels that way. I think people are adding context to this episode that does not need to be added in. This episode is 100% pre-overhaul shot.
Yeah,
we know this for a fact.
Yeah.
The directors, showrunners have said it. This is almost untouched.
Yes.
So you cannot put context into these actions that happen in this episode that are being built up in the previous episodes that are being added in after the overhaul. As in, I heard Matt is letting the devil out.
Yeah.
That's not accurate. It's
not quite.
Because that's not a storyline that was originally for this episode, because that's something that's probably added in the reshoots. Mm-hmm. So I think that's not fair to put on it. I think we see Matt let the devil out on the cops way more. I think this is just Matt being responsible.
Yes.
In this episode,
in
not
a situation
necessarily
that's
like
isolated.
He is just being a responsible person who has his abilities. Same way as Tobey Maguire Spider-Man running into that burning building and saving that family in Spider-Man 2.
Yes, absolutely.
I think it's the same thing. I don't think it really plays into the arc that Matt is being set. I don't think you can really put... Now, it's convenient, it's there, but you can't... I don't think you can really put it on this episode like, oh, we're getting this, we're getting that. I think that's added context. Mm-hmm. I just think Matt is doing the responsible thing at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Same as using his abilities to find that witness to win his case. I think it's the same thing.
Yeah. I think to the point like Jordan make with the whole, it feels like a single issue comic. When I thought about that, I thought, okay, I see that perspective. I could see why somebody would like it in that way. The reason I only brought it up to like a 4 out of 10, though, I think I was just a little harsh on it, but I still feel the same way. I think this episode's just not for me. I see a lot of people really liked Kamala Khan's dad being in it, thought it was really funny. That probably brings up the episode for a lot of people. A lot of people like some of the action sequences. I think some of that is cool. I just think the way it's written doesn't work for me. And I didn't find it to be that comedic, that funny. It just wasn't landing for me. And so I know I'm probably in the minority on this. So I feel like after I've sat on it, I'm just kind of coming out of it saying episode 5 is just not for me. A lot of people tend to really like it looks like.
Yeah.
Just not for me. The tone just felt different. And I do think coming out of episode 4, it is a shift. It does feel like a halt. I do feel that way, that we kind of lose the momentum, the pace slows down. And I think because of that, when I felt that, it just kind of carried through the episode. And it was just like, this just isn't for me. The humor, with the robbers, and I think they were trying to do something interesting. I didn't really laugh. I just think what they were going for was not for me.
Yeah.
I think the Matt stuff is interesting. Charlie Cox just kills it. I mean, he plays the role no matter what he's in, so he really carries it. There are some good moments between him and the dad as far as just chemistry-wise. Yeah. I do think their chemistry really works. I just didn't find it as funny as I think they were going for. Maybe that's just my taste.
Yeah, it didn't bother me that he was in it at all. I thought it was fine. I thought it was fun. I like that actor or actress a lot. Yes. I like her show. I like her in the project she's been in a lot. So it doesn't I'm not bringing that into the episode at all. There's just super convenient dialogue and story decisions for the sake of building the story. Things ignored. And what universe is it a good idea to lie that you have the code to a vault because you're afraid what they are gonna do to you? Yeah. Because what do you think's gonna happen?
Yeah.
And also, I mean, I used to work in a bank, so let me tell you, why would an assistant manager should know the bank code to the vault? So you're telling me if the manager of the bank isn't there, no one can get access to the vault.
Yeah, that's
just
doesn't work.
It's just convenient, bro. It's just what it is.
Yeah, and I think another thing that I kind of noticed was, it felt like what the robbers were doing, and I understand the perspective of this is kind of like a distraction, so they didn't really care about like getting in quick, getting out, but it did feel a little weird how there's a lot of dialogue, they don't really care that the cops are there. It just felt kind of outside of what we typically see, and the reason I say that is because I don't feel like they made it quite clear enough that this was just a distraction. They mention the boss, they say some things like that, but just the way they go about it early on, you kind of have to like think. You're trying to kind of like understand what's going on.
What do you mean it's a distraction?
So like they say, we just need to give time, like, or this is just what the boss said. We just need to like wait. And so I see the perspective of like, oh, this is a distraction for something. They're trying to get like the diamond, whatever that is. But it's just not clear enough. The writing is just not clear enough. I don't need exposition necessarily, but I needed them to do it in a better way for me to go, oh, okay, I understand what they're doing here. Because at first it just felt kind of off.
Yeah, I mean, I can bridge that gap in my brain, but I do agree that a line like, we need to, Luca needs this diamond to pay restitution, I think is helpful.
Yeah.
And
something, or just a little bit more clarity about like, boss said we need to hold out for 30 minutes. Just... Yeah, quick line.
No,
I know they do
right,
kind of say something along those lines, but it's very quick, you kind of have to really put the context into it. So that's just one thing. Maybe that's a little nitpicky, but things like that added up to where I just went, I just don't think this one's for me.
Yes. My brother made a really good point. We're talking to him about it, and he said, that guy walked out in a cop costume.
Oh, yeah.
SWAT raided the bank. None of the SWAT guys were like, here's a random police officer
just walking out of the bank.
Oh my god! No one thought about that?
I guess it's because they were already inside.
The SWAT team was inside.
Oh, but no cops had come in yet.
Not yet.
Oh, that is interesting. So you would be like, why are those guys in just normal...
Why is that guy in a cop uniform?
And not SWAT, gear.
Yeah. It's a little... I mean, come on. 10 out of 10, guys. Like...
Yeah, like you... I can see a cool key.
I can see.
I can see a scene where he like, it's kind of like the classic, like he beats a SWAT guy on the head, pulls him in, puts a garb on, walks out. Would have been a little better.
Yeah,
but he's just got a normal uniform on.
Guys, like I'll say, this is a fun episode. There's fun to be had here.
I can understand.
I can understand. I can see it. 10 out of 10 though is tough.
I don't think there's any moments that bring it to that personally.
No,
when I think about episode 4 and I think about the Frank Castle and Daredevil scene, I could see someone seeing that and going, oh my gosh, this is some of the best Marvel we've gotten. I mean, we've said that.
Yeah.
So I could see someone saying like, oh, this is just a great episode, maybe 10 out of 10. Yeah. For this one, I just don't see any scenes that really would warrant a 10 out of 10 personally.
There's not a scene in this show that does it better than the rest of the show.
Yes.
As in
this episode.
A lot of people were like freaking out about Matt opening the vault and calling it peak. And I just want to say, if we're really going to call this peak, that means that we think this is like the coolest thing Matt has probably done with his abilities.
And I think with previous seasons...
Completely disagree. I think that is the most obvious use of his abilities. Obviously, Matt can open a bank vault.
Yes.
It is not even close to the coolest thing Matt does with his powers.
All throughout the other seasons he does.
Calling Matt opening the bank vault peak is just so wildly inaccurate.
Yeah.
It's great. It's cool.
It's cool
I'm not
to see,
saying it's not cool.
It's just not fine. The best use of his powers.
It's not near as cool as Matt listening to Elektra's Matt listening to Elektra's heartbeat when she executes a little kid.
Yes.
And he says, your adrenaline spiked. You enjoyed that. That's peak. That's an argument for peak.
That's peak clever writing.
Right. This is Matt opening the bank vault is the most shallow use of his abilities in this episode. Yeah. Come on.
Especially because in every movie they all listen to it. So it's like, of course he would be able to.
It's like everyone I've talked to have been like, well, yeah, we all kind of figured Matt could do that. So seeing it is cool.
It is cool, yeah.
But to call that peak, I think is insane.
Yeah.
I really feel like we just really want to put this, elevate you. It's okay to like the episode.
Absolutely.
Okay. But I think if you're calling this peak, I think you're saying the rest of the episodes 1 through 4 are terrible.
Yes.
Like, are under it.
Or this is better than all of them at the very least.
And you can feel that way, but to say that this is peak like that, I just disagree. Like, really.
Yeah. Yeah, I just don't. I think even if I were to look at like, I may have problems with some episode 6, and we'll talk about that a little bit more, but there's moments in episode 6 that are really good. Yeah. So I can understand people saying, oh, this is peak.
Yeah.
This one, I just don't think there's anything in this episode that warrants that word to be used.
I think people are just putting context on the show, on this episode that's just not there. Like, Matt realized that being a lawyer isn't enough.
Yeah.
And I think he's always known that, guys. Yeah. Watch the other show.
Yes.
Matt always knows that being a lawyer isn't everything. It is a main point of contention with his relationship with Foggy.
Absolutely.
Is that Matt knows the law isn't enough, and he's got to do something about it.
Yeah.
He already knows that. Foggy died, he gave up, okay?
Yes. Yeah.
It's not that he thinks the justice system has risen to a level.
Yeah.
He's given up.
Yeah.
He's letting them handle it. It's easier on him.
Yeah.
That's what's going on. This episode, you cannot put that on the dialogue in this episode at all. There is one line Matt refers to these robbers to say, this is the sentence you're going to be racking up if you do this. And they're like, that's it. That's when he realized that, Matt, that this doesn't work and the law isn't enough. Wrong. You are adding context to that moment, okay? Yes. Because honestly, that's a cool moment. I'm giving it to you. It's not better than when Foggy does it in the ER with the two gang members.
Yes.
So it's not peak, okay? Yeah. But it's cool. There's a lot to like. There's a lot to like, but to elevate it to the level people were elevating it.
Yeah.
And I want to preface, do we care that it's filler?
No. Not at all.
Not at all.
I really don't. Some people have said, like, it's not filler. I think it kind of feels like filler, but if it's filler, I could care less.
Right.
I could care less. As long as it's a good episode, who cares?
Yeah. We don't care.
No.
To say that, you are adding context to the show. Mm-hmm. I believe it 100%.
Yeah.
Matt, that is not a moment where Matt realized that being a lawyer isn't enough.
Yeah.
If it is, the writing sucks. It's really shallow.
Yeah.
They didn't focus on it enough.
Yes. Yeah. So I think you're right. I think it is kind of adding context into that. And there's just the moments that add up to it just not being as good of an episode, just like to your point, just in the Daredevil seasons. Like, take other shows out of it. Just in the Daredevil seasons, there's so many moments I can think of better.
Yeah.
So many episodes I can think of better than this. So I can't say it's peak.
Yeah.
I don't see where peak conversation comes in.
No, not at all. All right.
But that's episode 5.
Yeah.
Let's talk about episode 6. We'll start with our rating.
Yep.
All right. So this is our rating for Daredevil Born Again episode 6. 3, 2, 1, 5 out of 10.
5 out of 10.
Yeah, I think we're about the same.
I think this is incredibly mid.
Incredibly mid. I think there's better moments in this episode than 5, but I think those moments for me are brought down by some of the writing choices. Yeah. I think they're executed very poorly.
Yeah.
Very poorly.
I gave 6 the same treatment as I did 5. I went in, I talked with Jordan about it on our Discord. I've talked to another guy on Discord about it. I've talked to a few people on Instagram who answered some of our polls and things like that. And what happened with 5 was the more I thought about what these people were saying, I did agree with them.
Yeah.
The more I think about 6, the less I like it. Because I think while there are great moments, people are only talking about that.
Yeah.
And they're
ignoring or just not talking, I should say, about some of the moments.
Right. And I'll say this. I think we are low on this episode 5 out of 10.
So, yeah.
I agree. We're low on it. Like, I believe it's probably more deserving of a 6 out of 10, maybe a 7, because of how high the highs are.
Yeah.
But here's why I'm going to say that.
Mm-hmm.
Because we have been noticing little things building up over episodes.
Yeah.
They are not correcting. Lazy writing, not great dialogue, not executing scenes to the fullest of their ability. This, to me, is where the camel's back broke.
Yes, yeah.
Was episode 6.
Yeah.
Where the writing's not there. We have these incredible Daredevil moments, these incredible Wilson Fisk moments, and we are botching the execution.
Absolutely.
We are botching the moment leading up to it. We're just putting it in the episode. Like we're just putting things in an episode, hitting play, and not letting things merge and flow into each other and feel fluid. I feel like it's just really awesome Daredevil moments, really high points, but drawing the connection to each of these moments is so weak. It is the bare requirement of storytelling, and I can get in if you don't have anything to say, I can get into what I mean by that more if you want to.
Yeah, I was just, because to your point, like, we've been building to specifically Daredevil being back in the suit, Wilson Fisk going off and just re-embodying that kind of anger, that kind of wrath. We've been kind of building to the Muse like arc, and that's why I say kind of. We've seen like a couple moments.
He's in the show.
We know that.
They haven't built anything.
These 3 very big moments that we should hit hard. And personally, I felt like all 3 of them, cool moments, but the execution, not great. All 3 of them. So that's why I feel like it's brought down.
Well, let's preface. The moments themselves are executed well.
Yes.
It is the lead up to them that is not good.
Yes.
And
I agree to a point. I would say yes. I think the moment like the Muse fight, so sick.
Yeah.
I mean, absolutely awesome. The choreography, very cool. Lead up, no. I will say though personally, and I think this is maybe just how I feel, I was expecting a little bit more from some of the Daredevil back in the suit, Wilson Fisk going off. I was a little disappointed by it and kind of underwhelmed in the moment. I think though it's because of the lead up. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like I think if it was better, that moment would have hit me hard.
Well, yeah.
But because the lead up was bad, like when Matt's back in the suit for the first time, I'm like, he looks cool. But this doesn't get me like that inside emotion of like, oh my gosh, he's back. This is sick. I was kind of like, oh, he's back. It looks cool. When Wilson Fisk is popping off on Adam, I was like, okay, like, yes, him, seeing him do his thing is cool as a character. It's what we know from him. But it just didn't execute in a way that I've really felt that moment. And that's what I was looking for. And so that's why I feel like, yes, the moment's cool, but it was underwhelming for me personally. So that's kind of why I brought it to like a 5 out of 10.
Okay. I would say this episode 6 is TV show salad. And this is what I mean by this. They take great ingredients.
Yeah.
And they just throw them in a bowl.
Yeah.
And they don't do anything.
Shake it up and...
They don't do anything with them.
Yeah.
As in, if, like, we want to take cooking, like, they did... Yeah, the ingredients to cook are there.
Yes.
And they did not cook the moments.
Yes.
They just let the ingredients speak for themselves.
Yeah.
I'm there. I'm with you. The Muse fight might be a top Daredevil fight
of good.
All time. I'm there.
So good.
The Muse Daredevil fight is fantastic.
Yeah.
It is a top. I'm probably a top. No, the Muse Daredevil fight is fantastic. It is a top 5 Daredevil fight, hands down.
Yeah. Oh, it's so good. It's so sick.
Muse is terrible though. Beyond underdeveloped.
The character.
Yeah.
Yes.
Not developed at all.
No.
We had people respond to some of our stuff and say Muse is. I love what they're doing with Muse. What are they doing with Muse? You do not know.
Yeah,
they haven't done anything with it.
There's no
every great thing, all the cool things in this episode happen off screen.
Yeah.
Okay. Muse throwing up murals, the testing and figuring out that the paint is blood is off screen. Miss.
Yes.
Also, the paint being blood reveal is played for kind of a joke. Dumb.
Yeah.
Should be.
Especially when he's such a very brutal, grotesque, very intensely dark character.
Right.
So to use that moment in a comedic way feels like it's not really vibing with the character.
No. People do not seem to care that it's blood.
No. Oh. They just glaze over that.
Right.
They're just like,
yeah, it's blood. Yep. They tell me, they don't show me. I don't feel that they're concerned. I don't feel that they're freaked out.
Yeah.
They play it for a joke. It happens off screen. Miss.
Yes.
Okay? Muse taking victims. We've never seen it. You haven't seen it once. They cut before we almost see it.
Yes.
They do it with White Tiger's niece.
Yeah.
We don't see him take her. That should be a well sat in scene where she is
walking
that should
through,
freak us out.
Yes.
Walking through the tunnels. We hear him coming up. And then it cuts, and he's got her. We should see him take her.
See something.
Come on.
Because it just cuts to she's on his shoulder, and they're going into the lair.
Exactly.
It's like, you just missed the cool moment for the Muse character.
Yes. Daredevil suit up is off screen.
Yeah.
Awful. Terrible choice.
The moments, too, so he's in the suit. We don't see it.
Nope.
Terrible choice. And then when we do see him for like 30 seconds, bad CGI.
Bad CGI.
It doesn't look good. Up until the Muse fight where you see him in the hallway and the choreography starts, CGI is bad. Yeah. I'm sorry. It's bad. It's not good.
How can you call this peak? Between Matt opening a locker and the Muse fight starting, there is nothing but a CGI running scene. Yeah. Terrible. Not peak. I'm sorry. The Muse fight, yes, is peak. Muse is not peak. Yeah. How they get there is not peak. It's weak. Yeah. It's so weak. It is the bare requirement of storytelling to bridge those two things. That is the laziest, most simple way to do it I've ever seen in my life. Like, that is the bare minimum requirement to bridge those two moments together. Yeah. You are telling me that Muse in a underground subway system heard Daredevil running next to a train.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
So he decided to walk out and look down because he heard him running? Absolutely not. Sorry. I've read the comic. Yeah. Muse doesn't have senses like that. He can pull senses into himself. He's got really fast reflexes. He cannot do that. And I'm not even, but I think that is just lazy writing. That is a way to get those two scenes together. They had to figure out something because they didn't think that far ahead. This is not cooking. This is not peak. To cook, they would have to have a clear plan from A to Z, and they do not. This is stitched together. This is taking elements from what was filmed before and what they had to shoot afterwards and making it work. Not peak. They had to make it work. I think it's as good as it could have been.
Yes, with what they had.
With what they had.
Absolutely.
But to say that this is the best this episode could be is absolutely wrong. I believe with what they had, this is probably the best product. Yeah. But this episode could be wildly better. To call it peak is insane. To give it a 10 out of 10 is insane. There are so many moments that could be way better. Absolutely. You like Matt finding the lair. I understand he has a general idea of where Muse is, but that does not mean it's a straight beeline to where he is. We need Matt using his senses in the tunnel to figure it out. Muse.
Do something interesting.
You're telling me that is not the best this episode could be. Yeah. Absolutely not. The dialogue between Matt and Hector's niece when he's talking to him as a lawyer is awful. Yeah. It's terrible. Doesn't work. Oh, you say you're all about the little guy, huh? And then when all the chips are down, you're just out. He took your uncle's case on for free. Okay? So why don't you shut up? It doesn't make any... That dialogue's terrible. Yeah. It's to get Matt from A to B, and it's not thought out. It is not as good as it could be. It could be way better, and to act like it can't is insane. Like this, to say it's a 10 out of 10, to call this peak, to say that they're cooking means they can do nothing better. To say that this is peak, that means that this is the best episode of Daredevil you have ever seen in your life, and that is just not true. That's not true. It is just not true at all. No. There are now. Like we said, the Muse fight, yes, you are correct. Okay, I think the Wilson in the mayor's office basically be like, nope, this is what we're going to do because I understand the criminal underworld. Yes. That's great. The vigilante task force stuff, not good. Yeah. It's not great. They tried. It's shoehorned in to get it accomplished. We focused on it way too much. Yeah. This should be a Muse episode for
just centric, develop the character, do something cool.
If I had to change this, I would do the blood reveal at the end of episode 4 and start this with blood being painted at the end of episode 4 and start this off with let's find Muse and make it all about Muse, not about the vigilante task force and all about Muse. Yeah. That should be the whole episode. And
they're trying to do too many things.
It's too much.
Too convoluted.
They're doing the best they can for having to completely redo the show, having shot majority of it. Yeah. I believe that. But it is not peak, and it is not a 10 out of 10. Yeah. It is not the best it can be, hands down.
Just within the show, again, like I said in episode 5, or for episode 5, I can think of so many better episodes, better moments that I would say are peak in Daredevil, Netflix first 3 seasons than this. So I still, again, I don't understand how you can say that this is peak. No. They're so much better. No. Just within the Daredevil show.
Yeah. And this is something I just don't like the Atom stuff.
Yeah.
Cool. does not mean Kingpin is stepping back. Like, it does not mean, from what I understand, like when I watched it, I did not know why we were cutting between those two scenes. Yeah. I get at a surface level, Matt is back in the suit, and Wilson's back as Kingpin. Yeah. But episodes 1 and 2, we see Wilson's knuckles are bruised.
So he's clearly been already.
Yeah, I think he's already the crap. Right. So we're not seeing any different behavior than what is happening off screen in previous episodes to facilitate giving it that type of praise. I don't understand.
I mean, I guess this is the moment we see it, though. So I can see people saying that it's been off screen up to this point,
right? But
so I can see why people would go, "We see him back. That's cool."
That would be correct, yeah.
But the problem is, because we know that he's been beating him over time, it's almost like it's not like he really is back, to your point, for the character.
Because he doesn't kill him.
The moment is there. We actually see him.
Yeah.
But for his character, it's not parallel to what Matt is doing.
Not at all.
Because we know he's already been beating him over these episodes. Right. So the moment's there, but it's not executed well. Yeah,
that means he stepped into Kingpin in episode 1.
Yes, we just didn't see it on screen.
Didn't see it on screen.
Now we see it on screen. So that's why I say
that would be,
I get why somebody would go, "It's on screen. That's cool." I get it, but I have a problem with it because of the context that they laid across the episodes.
Right.
Now. He's already been Kingpin, to your point, since episode 1.
Right.
Matt is actually back as Daredevil in this. So I see that. Do I think they executed it great? No. But the parallels there are not actually aligned. I get the creative aspect of it, but it's not great when it comes to the execution.
Had he killed Adam, I would have given it to him.
Yes, I think so too.
I would have been like,
because that was the full extreme.
Right,
he's just been beating him.
Right, yeah.
But if he actually killed him, well, I would have probably been like, "Oh, okay."
Right.
So he's back. Right. This is it.
But because he doesn't, that makes that action no different than what he's been doing the entire show.
And we know that because of the knuckles.
That's literally like Matt being Daredevil off screen the entire show till this moment.
And just because we see him in the suit, we say it's peak.
Yeah, same.
I don't agree.
Like it's not.
I just don't. No, it's.
I'm dumbfounded that this is like, people think this is as good
as some of the other episodes.
As some of the episodes, but as good as TV like storytelling gets, and that's just not true. It's just not true at all. It can be this episode. This episode could be the best episode in Daredevil, and it's just not.
Yes,
it just isn't. They don't execute it correctly. The writing's not there in enough of the right places. They get the big things right down to a T, but they fumbled the rest of it.
Yeah.
And getting between the best moments is just an absolute fumble. It's an absolute trudge fest. We're just doing our best to bridge the gap between these moments.
Yeah.
I just disagree. It's cool that you guys love that stuff. So people love that stuff so much that they're willing to think about omit it. But to say someone's an idiot because they don't like it, or they don't think it's a 10 out of 10 is just ridiculous. It is. The writing is so shallow. It's insane.
It's so underdeveloped.
Can I have a meet in the beginning? Can I meet with Frank line?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's so underthought. Like it's not considered what that really means at all when they wrote that down, because that would imply that because Matt represented Frank 10 years ago,
that he just has
a connection. Not to mention Frank tanked their case, then he escaped jail, then he went on a killing spree. So
he's still out there.
Yeah, he's still
as
out there.
Punisher, killing people. Quite wanted.
Right. It's completely underthought. That's just a throwaway line. That's a nitpick, but that's an example of writing being bad throughout the whole show.
Yeah,
throughout the entire thing, the writing's just not there.
It's just not thought out and fleshed out enough, because I think if you think just a little bit more about that line, you would go, from a character's perspective and what we know, this doesn't work for asking Matt to do that. Like, it just doesn't work, because why would he do that? And so it's almost like you had the thought, you wrote it down, you didn't follow through and really brainstorming, thinking it out, fleshing it out, making sure it's bulletproof, because there's a lot of lines in this show throughout it, even in these episodes, that it's so underdeveloped, and you can kind of tell, and it adds up. It adds up over time.
It's becoming a toll.
And to your point, I think these episodes, I've been very optimistic. I'm still enjoying it, and I am optimistic to see where it goes. But these are the episodes where I go, yeah, this is what I was afraid of was going to happen, and this is just where it's at.
Like the worst. I mean, like how is the not bother people that the suit up is off screen and CGI?
Yeah, because it would be so cool to see him finally putting the suit back on.
How does it not make people mad that he uses his senses to find the lair?
Yeah.
Muse is beyond... We haven't even really talked about Muse. Muse is so underdeveloped.
Yeah.
He's beyond, like... They haven't done anything with him. They haven't done anything with him. We've seen him do X, Y, and Z. They've told us he's done more than we have.
They've said 5 times in the episode, he's got 60 victims. He's doing all these bad things.
They tell us he does all these terrible stuff. And yes, we see some of it.
Yes.
But telling me versus showing me, yes, they show me, but we don't see him throw up one mural.
No.
We don't.
He's half putting it on, and then it's quickly cut away.
They're
based
always
on the situation.
already up.
Yep.
We don't see Wilson be affected by his art at all. That happens off screen.
Yeah.
No one's talked about that. That's just thrown in there.
Yeah.
Remember when you asked me to take those paintings down? No, I didn't, because you didn't put it in the show.
Yeah.
I'm finding out about it for the first time because you didn't think about it because the writing's not there.
Yeah.
Because it's not a 10 out of 10. Okay?
Yeah.
You can like this episode.
That's fine.
That's fine. But it is not a 10 out of 10. That's where I'm just being lost at. Muse not having a single line in this entire episode is awful.
Especially
horrible
from the comics perspective.
If you read, I'm not trying to gatekeep the comics.
No.
But Muse's dialogue is vastly interesting in the comics. It makes his character, because he speaks and says things that he says, it makes him way more sinister than what he is doing, which says something. Yeah. Because he has such great... you don't know his motivation. You don't know what he is trying to do.
No.
At all.
It's just art.
I get it. Before someone says it, I get there's 3 more episodes. Yes. But stop acting like this is how you develop characters and this is how you write villains. I've never seen anyone do this before.
Yeah.
This is not normal at all. We are 6 hours into this story and the main villain has not spoken a word.
Yeah.
Not normal. Sorry, it's not. We haven't seen him do the things that people that are putting him onto his trail. We haven't seen him throw up art. We've seen glimpses.
Yeah.
Having him be a graffiti artist sort of also is kind of a miss. Mm-hmm. He's also considered to be an amazing artist.
Yeah.
His paintings in the comics are these are incredible and these would sell for a lot of money, which adds to his character.
Yes.
He could be a famous artist, but this is what he's doing.
He's choosing to do.
There is a line in the comics that just and I could eat my words. They could put it in the later seasons.
They may.
Whatever. I'll apologize.
Yeah.
But this dialogue between him and Daredevil where he's like, all my life, I've just thought I've twisted, I've been messed up, I've had these urges, and I've never known why. And then I realized I'm not a serial killer, I'm not a psychopath, I'm not a criminal, I'm an artist.
Oh, that's so interesting. But we don't have that.
No.
Yeah.
My victims live meaningless lives. And they'll die doing meaningless things, but because they're a part of my art, they're immortalized in my art forever.
They have a purpose.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful, like beautifully sinister.
Yes, absolutely.
Excellently written. Great character stuff. Not in this at all. Yeah. He hasn't spoken.
That's such a miss.
He does not need to be chatty like he is in the comic.
No, it doesn't have to.
But he should speak.
Something for motivation. I know
he
may.
Like that.
Up to this point. Now.
Right. They could do that in this episode.
They could.
There's no reason to not do it.
Yeah.
This is not the best
way. That has no context for why he's doing what he's doing. Other than to save the girl. That's enough.
Yeah.
As a superhero, I get it. But there's no context for fighting Muse or anything to make this like develop to where Matt feels like a need. I've got to bring Muse down. It's just the girl. Again, enough. But it's so underdeveloped. We should have gotten context. We should have gotten a line. We should have gotten some dialogue between the two of them for you Muse to be like, you know why you're here. You know, it's just something to give us something between the characters. Because what we love about the Netflix show is the chemistry between the hero and the villains, right?
Yeah.
This show has no chemistry between the characters and the villains aside from Wilson Fisk.
Yeah,
but we've already established
it's pre-established.
We've already established that.
It's already established in a previous show.
So if you're going to introduce a new villain across all of these episodes, you have to establish some kind of interesting relationship between the two of them.
Yeah.
And if this is the pinnacle moment where they're in the lair, they're fighting, he saves the girl, there's no development there. There's no chemistry. There's no motivation other than he's just a serial killer. And that's boring to me. I think just being a serial killer is boring. I think the stuff that's in the comics or some interesting dialogue that they could work in there is a lot more developed and more interesting. I don't think that's peak. I don't think it's peak for him to not say a word. You save the girl, that's it. Again, we'll see what he says. I mean, maybe I eat some of those words, but I think even if he says something in the next episode or towards the end and there's some cool moments, I still think it's underdeveloped up to this point.
The first time Daredevil meets Muse in the comic, Matt hears his heartbeat outside of the building where they are, because he's just put another like horror art show on. Yeah. Matt hears his heartbeat and he identifies it not as a heartbeat that is terrified or disgusted by what they're seeing, as in not the people in the room, not the cops, not the other people analyzing all these dead people. It's a heartbeat that he recognizes as a heartbeat of anticipation, like an artist showing his work to someone for the first time.
Wow, that's so cool. That's so interesting. It's just a miss.
It's a huge miss. So to call it peak is wrong.
Yeah, I can't see
it. It could be better, and that's fine to admit. I agree. This is acceptable.
Yeah.
It is not peak.
Yeah.
It is not peak. I'm sorry. It's not a 10 out of 10. To say it's a 10 out of 10, to call it peak, means this episode is one of the greatest episodes of television of all time. It's just not true.
No.
Not true at all.
No. Too underdeveloped, I think, and it's just a miss. It's a mess. Let's wrap up.
Yep.
Kind of our thoughts on 5 and 6. So let me ask you this. Going into episode 7, how are you feeling? I can kind of talk to how I'm feeling.
I'm kind of nervous about, I'll tell you, from what I understand, episode 7's the last episode of like where there's the previous show.
Yeah, 8 and 9.
8 and 9 are completely redone from what I understand, what I have read, what I have heard. 8 and 9 are also Charlie and Vincent D'Onofrio's favorite episodes. Yeah. I am basically like, I just got to get through 7. We can get to 8 and 9. I have no doubt that 8 and 9 are going to be great.
Yes.
Because, dude, the things that have been reshot and redone are excellent.
Yeah.
They are excellent. They are done so well. It's when it's all tried to piece together
is when it falls
apart. When it's falling apart and just not hitting.
Yeah.
Okay? But yes, the added in stuff, the Muse fight scene, the Frank
cool.
and Matt stuff are great. Yeah. It's excellent. So I have faith in 8 and 9. They're going to be good. I'm skeptical of 7. I'm not down on the show.
Yeah.
I don't think this show can touch season 2.
Yeah.
It's just not.
Yeah.
I'm more, at this point, I'm excited for 8 and 9. Or 9. Yeah, 8 and 9. I'm really excited for season 2. More so than I probably am for 7.
Yeah, and that's a good point, because hopefully season 2 will be a little bit more of a coherent, across the board story. Get something interesting with it.
Right.
Yeah, I am skeptical too, because I feel like these episodes confirmed what I've been feeling just slightly about the writing, about some of the inconsistencies. So I am concerned that it's not going to quite land the plane. But I think you're right. I think we're still going to get some really good moments for Daredevil character, for Wilson Fisk. I think we're going to see some cool stuff. Frank might be coming back. We've seen him. Yeah. So, we're going to get some better, maybe some cool Frank Castle stuff. So we're
also
excited.
Getting more Bullseye.
Oh, that's right. That's a good point. We're getting more Bullseye. So there could be some cool things on the horizon. I'm just still concerned that it's going to feel pieced together. Right. And it's not quite going to land the plane.
I mean, I'll say this. We do not know why Bullseye killed Foggy.
No, we don't. Yeah.
And if we don't get that resolved, no one's really asking that question. I do think it's a story issue that Matt's not curious about that.
Yeah.
At all. No one seems curious why that happened. Because he never had an issue with Foggy.
Yeah.
Only with Karen. Weird. another thing we haven't touched on, but it is excellent, is Matt praying for Foggy in the beginning of the episode.
Oh, it's so good. That's
good.
That is such a true to character moment.
Yeah, absolutely.
That is just fantastic.
Yeah.
It's so good. I want more of those moments.
Yeah.
I want more of that from
It's
Matt.
beautiful. It's excellent. It's written very well. Guess what? Not in the rest of the show.
Yeah.
It has been non-existent. So much so, we have had people in our comments telling us that Matt has left his faith behind and he's putting all his faith in the justice system and not the church.
Yeah.
They're all wrong now
because of that.
But they weren't incorrect when they said it.
Yes.
Because it's non-existent.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's such a crucial part of his character all throughout the Netflix show.
It's added in.
And it's just moments, just quick moments. It's like, oh yeah, he's still religious.
But it does, like, it's not it's not in the
not
at all in the
part,
rest of the show.
Yeah.
You need that stuff to be consistent throughout your show.
Yeah. Especially
Matt did not go to the church one time.
Yeah.
He consistently went back to the church over and over again.
Yeah.
To talk to the priest.
Yeah. And if this is technically I know it's a soft reboot, but if this is a continuation, which they've said it's a continuation.
They've called it Daredevil
Season 4, then you have to keep the consistency carried from 3, all of those seasons, into 4. And it's choppy enough that it doesn't feel like the most consistent.
Give your recency take real quick.
I think, personally, I don't like throwing this around all the time, but I think there's some recency bias on this.
Yes.
Personally, I think when people watch this season, in a year, 2 years, they're going to clearly say, yeah, this is the weakest out of all 4 of them. I genuinely feel that way. I don't think people are going to be as high on it later on.
Say it the way you told me, because I think it's
I'm trying to remember how I said it that way.
You said...
Oh, yeah, that's
Say that, because I think that is excellent.
That is a really good point.
Yeah.
I don't think this season is going to age well.
Yeah.
I think watching it down the road, people are going to recognize some of these faults that I feel like I'm seeing personally, and it will be the weakest out of all 4 seasons. That's how I feel.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah.
I think that's a great point. It might be really fun right now.
Yeah. The moments are fun.
Yeah, I
get a high off of it. Yeah. Like, that's great. Like,
no, we enjoyed the Muse fight.
The Muse fight, I'm like, oh, this is so sick.
Yeah.
But I think when we watch it back 6 months to a year from now, we're going to go, it's cool, but it's not coherent.
No. It's beautifully put. I love that take. It's so good.
We'll see.
They're
going to come back around on this.
We are the only 2 freaking people who have this opinion.
We are. And I just don't know why. I'm so lost at
blown
why.
away. It's the first time I feel like people are wrong.
I can typically find people who like at least have like some good points. And I'm like, okay, I see that. And then some of these, I'm just like, I just really don't agree at all.
Yeah. We sat down as a podcast and was like, what do we want our show to be about? And one of the things we said was we want to be extra emphasis. We want extra emphasis on the fact that this is all subjective.
Absolutely.
And this is all hitting everyone different.
Yeah.
This is the first time I'm watching anything ever and just feel like people are wrong.
Yeah. Or maybe not, well, that they're wrong, or they're just kind of, they're blind to something.
Yes.
So they're choosing to ignore it or omitting something.
A lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like, it's subjective. It's okay if you like this, but some of the things that people are saying that they like, I genuinely think I don't understand how you can like it because it doesn't work.
Right. And what we're saying with rating it a 5 out of 10, we think it strikes even. We think it nets, we balances. The good,
there's good moments,
and the bad are they equal out.
Yeah.
So we are saying there are good moments. It's, you can't really think about it like it's an F.
Yes.
We're saying
it's not a grading
scale. The good
scale.
And bad are
it's average.
Yes, are very
one
average.
Is terrible.
It's mid.
1 is awful.
Yeah.
10 is peak. This is just completely mid. This is right in the middle.
Yeah.
I think that's a great way to put it.
Yeah.
Positives, negatives, cancel each other out in a way.
That's what we think. Those are our thoughts.
Yeah.
We have a Discord.
Yes, we do.
If you disagree, please jump in there. We
throw out some arguments.
I'd
love to see why, because I'm super open to somebody pointing out something where I go, oh gosh, that is a really good point. I didn't think about that.
And that happened for me with 5.
It just didn't for me personally.
It's
okay.
We are not opposed to having the conversation. Yeah. We don't think anybody is stupid for liking these.
Not at all.
We just were shocked. We both agree that it's just not that great.
And a lot of people just don't have our opinion.
We are completely open to having our minds changed.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we have a Discord, or you can just message us on Instagram.
Yeah, comment on the videos.
We're happy to chat with you. Discord's just a little bit easier. We've built up a little bit of a community there.
Yeah, so we can chat back and forth.
We can all talk about it.
Cool.
But if you want to direct message us about what we're saying, please do. We would love to talk with you about it. We're not saying there aren't great moments. There are. It's consistent with the show that there are some of the best moments in all of the Daredevil character, and then there's some absolutely just the worst moments.
Yeah.
And it's just tough, man.
Yeah, it is. We'll see. I mean, maybe our thoughts change slightly with some of the new episodes. I am curious how it's going to affect kind of how we perceive it. But I will say I'm on the train. I want to see where this goes. Yeah. I do have some optimism towards what they're going to do.
I still think, I mean, we've said we think 8, 9 are going to be amazing.
Yeah, I think so.
But
we'll see next week.
Yeah, we will. Thank you guys.
Yeah, absolutely.
Please consider subscribing.
Yeah, subscribe.
Following us on social media.
Instagram, TikTok. We are on Spotify.
You can
follow, listen just to the audio.
I need to update. We're like 4 episodes behind.
So we'll be putting episodes up on Spotify.
Somebody commented on our Spotify.
Oh, really? I haven't seen that. That's crazy.
Yeah, and I'm like, I'm so sorry.
I'm sorry. You're so behind.
We're so behind. But no, we just launched the Discord this week.
Yeah, check it out.
Trying to build a community of people.
It's just easier to have a fun conversation there.
For sure. So. Throw your top 10 favorite 10 movies, and we're down to dive in and talk to you about anything.
Absolutely.
I enjoyed talking with people on social media. Yeah. It's just tough to do it in a comment section. So throw it in Discord. We don't let people be bullies in there or treat anybody bad. So we want to have the conversation.
Just have fun with it.
Hey, the episodes might be over, but the conversation's just getting started.
Absolutely.
We want to talk about it.
I love it.
So
sweet.
Awesome.
That's our thoughts.
Yep. Wrap.
That's a wrap, baby.